So how do you
Whatever
work?
the fuck she going through.
How do you work with her? You know, like how does the process come about? Because Tony Maserati was saying like y'all would sit around and she would say, okay, you know, Roy Ayers, everybody loves the sunshine. Then you play it and
Well, like I said, the first album involved Puffy. You know what I'm saying? So her and Puffy had a relationship beyond the relationship that I built, because he was there from the beginning.
right,
And plus, both of them are from New York.
right,
I'm from DC. So my thing, you know, they had a connection. They had a connection um, that was a little bit more New Yorkish. It's almost like, you know, just it's just a New York thing with them.
okay,
So they, you know, certain records like we were supposed to do. What's the name of that song? "Stay with Me" by the Barge
right,
for the My Life album.
okay,
And I never heard that record in my life. But Puffy and her was tripping off that record. Like, yo, that's gonna be the hit. And I didn't know what the fuck they was talking about. But
right,
then we went to the Grand, and I think Biz Marquis was DJing that night, and he played a bunch of old shit.
right.
And he played that one, and he played it at that right spot. And I never heard that record before. But I vibe with her. I vibe with her on a musician level. If it's a record that she wants to do, I'll live with it, and I'll understand why she likes it.
Okay.
And then from that page, I got her in the song because I know why she likes it.
Right.
But then I'll listen to it from a musician standpoint.
Well, how do you describe her musical vibe? Like, where's she coming from? Usually, most places, times. You know what I mean?
Just first off, well, as far as the ideas are concerned, she'll usually want to work or create records that come from records that she already knows. And like I said before, her mother is a real big influence on her.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that vibe comes from her mother. You know what I'm saying? Like her mother's just fun. That's the first thing. And then and I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to keep labeling the word ghetto, but her mother just is real to me.
Right.
Her mother's just real to me, and that whole vibe, and it's like, you know, it's like I could just see her whole childhood when I'm around them. It's like, you know, they just listen to the radio a lot.
Right.
So they just know every song that comes on the radio, from the Quiet Storm to all of that. And I come from that family life too.
Right.
The radio was just on
All day long.
you know, and we just sit around and she'll say some shit and I'll be like, I heard that record before. And we'll just, you know, from there and then I'll make her tap into a side of whatever she's going through right now. And every day, you know, the thing about Mary, you know, as a person is, you know, she's growing. And some days she'll come in there and won't say nothing to nobody because it's something that's going on, you know, and I'll just sit back and let her get her thing together because there's a lot going on in her world, you know, and one thing may trigger 10 different things that she was trying to forget about, and all of that shit hit her at one time, and she just needs space.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she decides to talk about it, I'll make her think about putting it, you know, just talking about it enough that she may go and write a song about it.
Okay.
So, I mean, a lot of that My Life album was her actually, you know, talking about stuff that was going on.
So you helped to encourage her to write
Well,
about
not really. It was already there. I mean, she was in a relationship with Casey at that time.
Right.
Things wasn't the best for her or him at that time. You know what I mean? They were trying to... She, on one side of the relationship, well, I guess wanted to keep it rolling, and him on his side of the relationship, he was young, he was in the industry, he was just caught up in that whole lifestyle of being that age in the industry.
Right.
So it was a lot going on for both of them at that time. But when she would come in the studio, you know, she would never talk to me about that shit. But then, you know, she got real close to my wife, Tracy.
Okay.
And, you know, Tracy's like a big sister to Mary. You know what I'm saying? She has a big sister, but Tracy's really another sister to her. So I mean, her and Tracy started talking, and they built a relationship. And she would always tell Tracy what was going on. And me and Tracy being married, she's gonna tell me what's going on.
Right.
So I mean, it was times when she would go in the booth and actually, be crying while we singing the songs or whatever, because she's singing about the shit that's going on, and it's real emotional. You know what I mean? And it comes out, and it's like. I'll tell you right now, man, I'll sit around Mary and I'll get so wrapped up in her being Mary, my friend, that she'll sing something and I'll be like, damn, I'm with motherfucking Mary up in this joint. Like her talent, man, is just unbelievable at times. So I'm just blessed to be able to work with a person like that.
Well, tell me, because I mean,
I hope I'm answering your question.
No, you are, definitely. You don't have to be direct, because, I pick and choose and stuff, so just actually move this closer to you, though. I want to make sure I'm getting. Why don't you just put it up on that ledge, that way you can.
I'll just hold it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the first one did like 2 million. So, you would think that they would go with like a Teddy Riley or something like that, but then.
It was a situation with her record. If that's what you get, now how did I get that situation?
Yeah, exactly,
I'm gonna tell you like this, Puff.
From DC, and on top of it all, it's like.
Like I said, it was a situation where I was contracted to do. Listen to this, 1.5 songs.
Like an interlude.
Something like that. And I was working on the first song. The first song was "I Wanna Be With You." A song that she had picked off a tape I sent down. And
you had done the lyric, or you just did down the track?
Right, I had just done the track. And she was getting a lot of different tapes in. And I Wanna Be With You was it was more, I would have never thought that she would pick a track like that. Cause I mean, it wasn't a Mary style track to me. Okay. It was more of a hip hop. It was, I wasn't even thinking. I said it wasn't a Mary style track because it was more of a hip hop R&B track. But all the time, that's what she represented, so it was perfect for her. But I just never thought of it like that. I had took a Run DMC idea and just put music over it. Remember Run DMC and Pete Rock remixed Run DMC's record? Yeah. That's kind of that's where I got the idea from to do I Wanna Be With You. If you put them together, you'll hear it. It's similar. But I just put R&B chords to it.
Kind of like a track that you would have done for a rap artist or something, like hip hop.
No, I was just experimenting down in my basement, just messing around. And I was experimenting, and I came up with that track.
Okay.
I came up with that track. And unfortunately, it was a track that was for a group out of D.C. It's a group named Lake. And the thing of it was I had did I was just downstairs. I really had too much to do, and I remixed one of their songs and I gave it to them. And what happened was the tape got sent out. The track was on a tape that got sent out. It was by accident, and Mary got it. And out of all the tapes that she was getting in from different producers, Dave and everybody, she picked that track out of all of the tracks. So that got me my spot on Mary, period. And then from that one track, you know what I mean? Puffy had a conversation with me. He was telling me that, he just pulled me to the side and said, look, Chucky, I'm going to hit you with an opportunity and you let me know if it's something that you can work with, Mary is real interested in working with me and you, but because of the fact that a lot of the producers that were on the first album, the price is outrageous right now. Because they feel they did the first album and they feel that, okay, well, I want to charge this to get, you're going to have to pay me now. And that, to me, taught me a lesson about what not to do in this industry. Just because you made something happen, it's all about relationships in this business. And what happened was I was a young guy coming up and coming, and You know, I
Had
didn't
you done
really.
any major label records at that point?
I had done a couple, but not no level like Mary. I did Nefertiti, that was Son of Mercury,
Yeah.
and I did the Born Americans. I don't know if you remember their first album. I did like 7 songs on that album, and that was my first things coming out the gate. And then Mary right here is like Puffy was his thing was we could do the whole album is what I'm trying to tell you. He didn't have no hitman. I was the hitman.
Yeah, I remember that, right?
You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't no. Let me get somebody else do it. It was Chucky. Look, this is the deal. We can do her whole album. And I was like, yeah, I do her whole album for free. I ain't tripping. It's Mary out this joint.
Right.
And
I mean, so what's going through your head when this opportunity was it like?
It wasn't nothing but.
Ever, can I do this, or was it just like?
I'm eating, sleeping, drinking Mary right now. I'm gonna be in the studio. If the song is done, I'm gonna listen to it 5 more times to make sure it's done, just to see if I got it. I'm going the extra mile for her. That's what happened on that My Life album. It wasn't about the money. Mm-hmm. It was about an opportunity for me to work with Mary. Man, I'm gonna hit 24. I'm gonna put my best out here. And at the time, that was my best. I was about 24. Okay. Yep. 24.
I mean, I've talked to Mary, and Mary, like, I've never had a problem with Mary. I mean, Mary, cool. She's called me back and said, Craig, no, you can't use this. You can't use it. I was talking about this, and I'm like, Mary, forget it ever happened, whatever. But I know that to some people, she can be very icy first. She doesn't warm to the. So how was your first meeting with Mary?
I stayed out her way.
Really?
I wasn't looking to be in her face. I mean, you know how you meet people and, you ready to say hi anytime, but, I could see that she, she's not big on meeting. I'm just saying, you got to understand that mentality. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad thing. People need to come to the hoods more often so they can understand what goes on in the hood and why is it that way. People from the hood don't bum rush up and talk to nobody.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Fake, yeah.
It's like I ain't saying nothing to nobody. That means nobody ain't got no reason to say nothing to me. And the thing of it is, she's growing out of that mentality now. She's getting older. She's understanding who she is. Back in them days, she was just young, what I'm saying? Just coming from home, whatever, and just being able, her talent just shined her in a situation.
Right.
And now she's totally ready for it, but, that's the thing. It's like, she was just young. So plus I understood that, what I'm saying? That's when everybody knows that Mary's real. That's the first thing that anybody could ever say about Mary when you hear that name. That she's real, and that is the reason why. It's like she keeping it real with herself is to say, I'm not really gonna, really gonna be up in nobody's. But she understands now. She understands that is how you grow in this business, is being outgoing and you seen her at that on them Share My World album. You saw her coming out doing more pictures. You even seen her smiling in pictures. You seen her just being happy and just trying to get to a point where nothing is holding her back.
Well, so I mean, when did you first get a sign? Because I mean, I know you must have been thinking.
After my wife talked to her.
Okay.
After my wife.
So she bonded with your wife.
Because what happened was, when I wasn't in the room, when I was in the room working on the music,
right,
Mary would be in the lounge, and that's where I had Tracy shit. And I believe the story went where they just started talking about something. I don't know if it was nails or hair or some shit like that. And my wife does hair.
Okay.
So
Mary likes her hairstyle.
Yeah, so they got to talking about stuff, and from there on in, Mary loves Tracy. You ever ask Mary about Tracy Thompson and watch you get a whole story about that.
Well, so
But that's what broke the ice.
That's what broke the ice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, Tony Maserati said that the lounge at the Hit and I believe at the Access was just wild during those days in terms of like you know, conversations going on, whether or not with Andre, Puff, or whatever, Mary, KC, and then, you know, he just
Puffy and Misa.
he just said the lounge with just stuff was just going on.
Wilding in there. I remember one story. I don't know if I want to tell this story, man.
Cut the tape off. I won't say nothing.
Yeah, it's on there.
Now Mary, you know, and I know a lot of this is just, you know, I mean, I think I could pretty much tell the type of person she, even from talking, you know, you can talk to somebody for 5 minutes and you get kind of a sense.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Mary told me, like, you know, making the album every day was hell. There wasn't no good times, you know. She was like, there was no smiles during my life.
Oh, yeah, for her.
Was that really the way it was?
For her, man. Because, like I said, she was going through all that shit with that dude, man.
Right.
And then, I mean,
So where did the song like You Gotta Believe come
from her
that's them both
trying to give him a message that stop tripping, motherfucker. I'm right here.
Right, okay.
That's, if you listen to those songs, if you listen to the lyrics of that song, that's the message is for him. You gotta believe in me.
So how is she doing that? I mean, you know, she's singing about this shit, and he's up in there, you know, that must have been uncomfortable, you know what I mean?
Not really, because it was like they had a relationship. It's just after they have their relationship, what goes on. It's out the morning after.
Okay.
That type of shit.
But he wasn't too upset, like, you putting our stuff out here on this record, you know,
Nah.
for everybody to know.
Because he probably was so motherfucking wrapped up into what he was doing, he didn't even pay attention to the lyrics. He probably listening to that shit now, or you know what I'm saying, once he slow down and really understand.
Yeah, what it's saying.
Yeah.
Then she told me with this new dude, because she told me she didn't want me to touch that, so I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
You know. What was the studio vibe like in the...
Up into my life, dude?
Yeah.
What was the vibe like? Oh, man, for the My Life album. I thought it was rolling. We was knocking stuff out.
Okay.
It was a work atmosphere.
Because he said it was during the summertime.
It was during the summer.
And y'all would go back and forth from the hit to the Axis.
We started out in the winter and we finished up in the summer, but we was everywhere. I worked on songs. This is when Daddy's house was in the Hit Factory.
Okay.
I would be working on songs there. Half of the songs I already had made up at the house, like Don't Go, I had made that up like about a year or two before I met Puffy.
Okay.
You know, a lot of my songs and ideas were made around the time of that Bobby Brown and all that type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
So you met Puffy basically through that track, sending in that Be With You.
I sent in that Be With You track and a couple of other tracks, and he was interested in me signing to him under management. You know, he felt that he could help my career and I could help his career, so that was the relationship.
Now, was she writing in the studio while you were there?
Not that I remember, no.
She would bring that in, stuff written.
She would have it all written. She would talk to Puff. Like, I'm gonna tell you like this. I had wrote I Love You So. I wrote that. I was thinking about Usher for that song.
Okay.
He was working on Usher's album at the time, and I let Puffy hear it, and he gave a copy to Mary, and then I guess Mary sung it on a little mini recorder, the hook, and let Puffy keep the mini recorder. And he asked me did I like the hook, and I was listening to Mary singing on the little mini recorder, I love you so.
That's Mary's joint, right?
That's crazy, yeah.
Right.
I said, that is crazy. And then we went in the studio and she had it all written out.
Because, I mean, Mary, LaTanya told me the first time she heard that song, she broke down in tears. Mary told me that every time she hears that song, she, like, starts crying.
I didn't know nothing about all that.
Yeah, LaTanya said the first time she heard that song played back, she started crying. And
That's
Mary
crazy.
says that's, you know, that you
I didn't know nothing about that.
Describe, you have any funny stories or any good stuff about Mary in the studio during that period or anything like that?
I got a videotape with her and Faith, man. It's funny as shit. You know, that's when her and Faith was hanging
Right.
real tight at one point.
What happened with them?
I mean, it's just women, man. You can you can understand them, but then women don't like too much closeness. They like the
Right.
know,
And once they
especially.
started being in the same game.
Well, I mean, it was a whole lot of speculation on what was happening with Mary's project and Faith's project, just because Puffy was Mary's manager
Right.
and he had Faith signed to the label.
Right.
And there was just a lot of stuff going on between all of that shit, man.
That's
and
why
then
Kelly Price told me she didn't want to mess with that. You know, that's why
Yeah.
she got tried to get her own deal.
right, it was just it was too close for everything at that time. And then Mary's album wasn't doing. To me, I felt that Mary's album wasn't being promoted the right way, because the album like My Life at that time was nothing that could have stopped it.
Right.
And I thought that they picked the wrong singles.
Definitely wrong.
I thought that they didn't really promote that album the right way. And I was following that album. Stayed on Billboard charts 14 weeks. It hasn't been a record since then that has stayed at number one for 14
Right.
weeks.
Well, it's still her
then.
best-selling one, right? It's 3 or 4?
3. It was 3. But I don't know, it might be 4 now, but
Well, what happened with Everyday It Rains? Because Mary told me that was her
that was
favorite track,
supposed
but
to
then
have
it
been
didn't
on
get
the,
that. What
because
happened?
Biggie rhymed. No, was it? No. Let me tell you what happened to that track, and it's the stupidest shit in the world. That sample, that
Right.
sample is originally Lou Donaldson.
Okay.
That's not where we sampled it from. We sampled it from from Craig G. It's a record called Dropping Science, I believe. That's not Dropping Science, it's another one. But it's a Craig G record.
Okay.
And they sampled it from Cold Chillin'. So when they went to clear the sample,
Right.
they went through Cold Chillin'.
Mm-hmm.
Cold Chillin' was asking for, I don't know how much kind of money. But I knew that it was, I was trying to tell them, look, man, they sampled it from somebody. So how the fuck they gonna charge y'all this and that and the other? That ain't even a motherfucking sample. So then, it didn't make the album. Because it was supposed to have been on the My Life album. And that to me, that song got put together. I spent one night stressing over what to put the melodies to play on it. I was mad as hell that night because he just had that sample. Like I said, I've never heard that song before.
Right.
They everybody in New York knows that record, the Craig G record.
Right, but you hadn't known it.
I have never heard that record before.
Mary seems really mad to this day that didn't make the album. I mean, she was talking to her.
Cause the way I got it on the tape. Her and Faith was laughing at the beginning of that record.
Oh, really?
I got the original My Life master CD, the CD that came from the Hit Factory.
Okay.
It got an interlude with Biggie on it.
Didn't that turn out to be
Who Shot You? I got that interlude in the house.
Okay.
I gotta let you get that CD.
Yeah, definitely.
It's damaged though, but it's still I got the only copies of that shit. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? That was supposed to have been on the record and never got on there. Who Shot You and that?
Okay.
Those are the only two outside of it. But I guess they finally got it cleared and they put it on the show.
The show soundtrack,
Yeah.
right. Well, how did you feel like when that album started getting all the acclaim? And I agree with you that because of the single choices, it didn't quite start getting the acclaim that it deserved right off.
It had no marketing plan behind it. It was no marketing plan behind that album. If you look at TLC's album, they both came out at the same time. And the album was Crazy Sexy Cool.
Right.
Creep was the first single.
Right.
Creep is crazy. The act of creeping is crazy. Sexy. Red Light Special was the second single. Sexy as hell. Cool. Third single was Waterfall. That's some cool out shit. The album was set up to take on the whole world, and it did.
What's your work on that? Talk a little bit, because I'm doing 4 albums. My Life, Crazy Sexy Cool, Pete Rock, Still Smooth, Mac and the Soul Brothers.
Okay, yeah.
And Missy, although she's about to get dropped because she won't sit down for an interview, so they're gonna cut her out.
Oh damn.
But yeah. But how did you feel? You know, 'cause I mean, when people talk about my life, they talk about Puffy.
Right.
Period. And your name. I mean, you
man, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. Puffy was the executive on that album to me. I mean, he had ideas for that album, but I undercut him. I triple time Puffy with that album.
What do you mean?
Because I'm gonna tell you the songs that Puffy brought to the table, and I'm gonna tell you the songs that I brought to the table. Songs that Puffy brought to the table. You Bring Me Joy. Let's see. You Bring Me Joy. What's I'm Going Down.
Okay.
And
did you do the remix for that, or did somebody else do the remix? You know that remix of I'm Going Down? That was.
Oh yeah, Trackmasters did that. But that wasn't nothing. They just looped the reel, and yeah, it was some small shit with that. So yeah, hold on. You Bring Me Joy. I'm Going Down. You Gotta Believe. And that Casey and JoJo joint at the end. And Be Happy.
Right.
But I played on Be Happy though.
Right.
So those records ain't really the ones that made that My Life album what it made it.
Be With You, Mary's Joint.
Be With You, Mary's Joint. These are records that I came up with.
Right.
You know, Puffy, I guess. I mean, he had like I said, he played the executive. He heard the songs and said, okay, Mary, you need to do this song. You know, Mary, you need to do this song.
Right.
And basically work with her as far as the lyrics were concerned, because I wasn't really focused on the lyrics.
Okay.
So he did the vocal production, and he did the, picking which songs was on what.
So when did she start trusting you, and how did you build the relationship?
I just started lacing her with the ill shit. I mean, my thing, the way I think when I make up records, as I try to just, I catch a groove, you know what I'm saying? And I just try to cater to that groove. And she, Mary's the grooviest motherfucker out here. And so it just fits.
Right.
My groove and her groove, we got kind of like the same storylines. We're the most talented of our families. So all we used to do every day, all day, is just sit around and just basically sit around and just listen to music and shit.
Right.
And we sit down now, her favorite thing is cartoons. I like cartoons. We sit and laugh about everything, all the Tom and Jerry shit. And she know all of the Flintstones. I know all of the Flintstones. I know every last episode. Her favorite episodes is my favorite episodes.
What's her favorite? That's funny, though. People think of her not having a sense of humor,
Man, we be sitting around laughing like shit at them cartoons.
Well, so it's like now you all really have a relationship. It's not, obviously Puffy's not in it. Well, how did it, if you all, have fallen out with Share My World, how did you
we didn't fall out. That's the whole thing.
I mean,
her and Puffy fell out. And I just stayed in touch with her.
Okay.
Her and Puffy fell out. I wasn't trying to get in the middle of that shit.
Right.
Because I like Puffy and I like Mary.
Were you torn in that period?
Yeah, I was torn like shit. Because I really wanted to work with Mary. But I like Puff, I like Mary. I said, you know what, I'm going to let...
Made him, or was Puffy like, no, you can't see tracks?
No, Puffy don't have that control over me.
Okay.
Puffy's my manager.
Right.
So it's up to me to do whatever. But I just felt like, I didn't want to wreck. I knew it was a tender moment at that time. So I didn't want to start asking for a certain amounts and then it not be going her way, and then she may be thinking that Puffy's trying to get more money from her, and it was just too deep. So I said, you know what? I think that it was a first step away from Puffy. I think that it was a first step away from Puffy, and I think she did a good job considering.
Okay.
that she, was with a new situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, based on that, it was cool. It's cool for what it was and for what they was trying to get from it. I don't think they reached that, but I think that they got at least kept her and her status together. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So now you're bringing her back with this new one.
Now I'm just bringing a side that I felt was missing from the Share My World album back into play. You know what I'm saying? I just felt that I always feel that Mary sings from the heart and Faith sings from the heart too. So I had to make heartfelt music. And me and Kelly are actually working on some
cool.
stuff
I did
right
a whole
now.
article on her for the Washington Post a few weeks ago. Hard to get on the phone, but she's cool.
Yeah.
But you don't feel torn between Mary and Faith?
I never did. Coming right behind Faith, right after Mary, most people would think that, I mean, there was a little bit of hype at one point. People was saying that Faith sounds like Mary.
Right.
And I felt that I know how I produce for Mary, and I know how I produce for Faith, and I dig into the personalities. So I'll never make a Mary record for Faith because they're not the same people.
Right.
I can't bring Faith a Mary record and expect her to love it. It's never gonna happen. I could bring Mary a Faith record and she'll kill it.
Right.
But I mean, Faith is different. I have to separate Faith from Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Mary will kill anything in sight because she got that record, that soul background.
Mm-hmm.
Faith don't come from a soul background. She comes from a gospel background.
Oh, okay.
Like we did the song on her album, Love Don't Live Here Anymore.
Right.
When we was in the studio, it was her first time listening to that record. She never heard that record before in her life.
Okay.
So we brought Mary down to reference it for her.
Yeah.
And then Puffy came up with a bright idea. Well, shit, why don't you just get on it? You sing the second verse, she sing the first verse. We'll kill that hype of you sounding like her and being like her with this record. And that's the way I go about it when I work with her. You know what I'm saying?
How did you all? Because you were creating a revolutionary sound with My Life in terms of it was a hip-hop.
I didn't know it though.
You didn't know it at the time?
I was acting like when I made My Life, the actual record, that was a Puffy idea too. I don't know if that was a Mary idea or Puffy idea, but Puffy gave me the cassette tape and said, "You need to refix this joint. Just do it over." Like I would walk in and he would have lists of things to do. Write some songs for this person. Give me 2 totals joints. I need this. I need that. I need a joint for Mary. Listen to this cassette tape. Let me know what you come up with. And he had Sunshine on tape. And I was liking that joint. And I just freaked it up for him. And,
so you weren't thinking that you were really doing something revolutionary? I mean, where nowadays, you can't make.
I just know. I'm gonna put it to you like this. I did the beat and Puffy booked studio time for Mary. And we was in the studio all night, and I wasn't really paying attention to everything she was doing, because when she in there working on the vocals, whether it's Mary or Faith, I don't even sit in there.
Really, why not?
Because they are so fucking talented and phenomenal. You don't say nothing to them.
Okay.
You let them do their thing, because they know what the fuck they doing, first off. And then it's just a respect there, unless they ask me for my help when I come in. And people call me crazy, but that helps them become more of them. Yeah, they get to put themselves in the records.
Well, why does Mary like to sing over other tracks? You know what I mean?
Like remakes?
Yeah, you have Pastime Paradise going on.
Oh, man, it's a vibe. That fit in there. That's a surprise, and it's hot.
Yeah.
So it was just perfect.
But is she different from other artists in that she likes to sing over those songs that she knows, songs she grew up with?
We never really think of it like that. It's like whatever vibe we on. If I control the situation when we in the booth and when we in the studio, unless she has been at home and actually brung a tape for me to do.
Okay.
But other than that, she listened to me. Okay. I'll get the ball rolling. I'll just start playing some shit. Like that beat right there, the shit took me 5 minutes. That Time's Not On Outside. I was just fucking with them Al Green drums because I did Story to Tell for Biggie. I was just playing around with the drums and said, man, let me put some little silly shit on it. And was half asleep and played some stupid shit on the bass. That shit was hot as hell. I said, man, let me put that shit, let me loop that up.
Okay, well, last question. How'd you come up with the track that I loved? And, I mean, I loved them all, but that one track. Piano.
I went in the store. I went in the store and was looking for some Clark Sisters stuff. Just looking for Clark Sisters. And I found this CD. And it had all of the Clark Sisters on the cover of it, and I think their aunts or whatever. It was like an old CD.
Right.
Because Karen was real young on the CD.
Right.
And the CD cost $8. I said, man, I'm about to get this shit. And I played that joint. That shit was nuts. And then right at the beginning of one of them songs, that shit came on.
Okay.
And I said, God damn, that shit is hot. For Mary, that shit is so sold out.
Right.
That's Mary right there. You know it. You know when it's fit her. It was just too soulful. Man, I took that joint up there. She was like this at first. She was like, I don't know. It just don't sound alright, but I don't know. I said, let me let it run. And then her cousin Jamarco, he a little short motherfucker. Jamarco in there singing and shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then she wrote that shit and wrote some lyrics to it.
So who's on the background vocals?
Her.
That's all her?
But it was Jamarco that started that dumb shit. And she just wrote to it.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Chuck.
Definitely that, man.
I think we have a lot to work with.
Yeah, we got to do some other stuff, too.
Yeah, definitely.